development. Guys, we are still continuing with our section of maps, plans, and other physical representations of the physical world. And by the way, my name is Nikki Wezulu, as you can see on your screen there. And then the special focus today is going to be on maps and scales. Remember, in our last week's lesson, we were focusing mainly on the section of scale. And just a quick recap, we agreed and we discussed that in MathsLit, we are only working with two types of scales. The first scale that we worked with was a number scale, which is also known as a ratio scale. The second type of a scale that we worked with last week was a bar scale. So those are the two types of scales that you will expect in your MathLit exam paper or your MathLit exercises in your classroom. And then we also discussed the meaning of the different scales that we are working with. I said if you have, for example, a scale, a number scale of 1:50, if you have to explain the meaning of that scale, you would say 1 unit on the map represents 50 units in reality. That is just an example that I'm giving you. And then I said when you are given a bar scale, for you to explain the meaning of a bar scale, you will need to use your ruler. So from now on, girls and boys, you cannot go into the exam room without a ruler and a proper ruler, a proper full ruler. So when you're working with the bar scale, you first measure the length of your bar scale. After measuring the unit that you are getting, then that is going to assist you in explaining the meaning of your bar scale. You will then say maybe about 20 millimeters measured on the bar scale represents so many kilometers that are represented on your particular bar scale. And then what we also learned last week was also to convert a bar scale into a number scale. We performed calculations on converting a bar scale to a number scale. We again discussed the advantages and the disadvantages of working with a number and a bar scale. One of the advantages of working with the bar scale is that when an image is resized, either it's been enlarged or reduced, the bar scale will still remain accurate, meaning that the bar scale will also increase by the same scale factor if an image is enlarged. But if an image is reduced, the bar scale will also decrease by the same scale factor. So that is one of the advantages of working with the bar scale. Whereas when you're working with the number scale, if an object is going to be reduced or enlarged, or if you keep on making more photocopies of an object, it means now the size of the original image will then now be affected. So now when it's affected, the number scale stays the same. It doesn't change. Therefore, since now your image is no longer the original, that it means now your number scale becomes inaccurate. It is no longer accurate for you to work with that number scale because the object has been resized. So guys, that was just a quick recap on the concept of scale. Today's focus is going to be specifically on your maps and plans. So guys, by the end of this lesson, we should be able to interpret the compass directions and use the compass to give directions. We should work with different types of maps. We should calculate the actual length or distance on the map using either a bar or a number scale. Last week, I told you that since we did so many exercises on your scale, you will see when you start today's section of maps and plans, you are just going to flow into the section because we've done the spade work last week. If you can understand scale, you make sure that you master scale. When it comes to maps, it's just going to be a smooth ride for you. And then we're also going to use the given map to find a way to a particular destination. Lastly, guys, we are also going to determine the scale in which a map has been drawn. Again, using the knowledge that we learned last week. We are going to apply the knowledge from last week to help us again this week to determine the scale in which a map has been drawn. And it's something that you are going to enjoy again because we did this section of scales thoroughly last week. And then guys, on the terminology, what is a map? here that what you see there in front of your screen, it is an example of a map. And the example that I used here, it's a South African map. It's just a plain map, no scales, no compass direction, nothing, because I want to explain the concept of a map. So what is a map? It is a diagrammatic representation, as we can see here, of an area of land or sea, showing the physical features like the cities, the provinces, and then or the town. Sometimes it can even show the streets that are available in that particular area. So this example of mine that I've given you here, it is a representation of an area of land, and then it is showing the different provinces. And then we have different types of maps. We've got national maps. Example of a national map, it is your South African map, as you can see there on your screens. We've got also provincial maps. We've got strip chart, elevation, distance tables. The nicest thing about this topic, again, guys, is that we are not seeing all these maps for the first time in grade 12. It is a concept that we've already started working with in grade 10. And then when we went to grade 11, the standard moved a bit higher. But in grade 11, all the maps that we did in grade 11, we are now going to repeat them again in grade 12. So again, what you must know is that a map can be expressed as a plan or a chart. Like I said, that we've got strip charts. A strip chart is also a type of a map. So we are going to see all those in detail as we go deeper. And then, guys, remember to keep in touch. We have our active WhatsApp line number, which is 082-760-2630. So do send us those WhatsApp messages. If you've got any questions based on today's lesson, you're more than welcome to send the question into the WhatsApp line number. Or if I'm asking a question, you want to give an answer, please send us your response. And remember to also mention your name and the name of the school. And if you don't want to comment on the questions, you can just send a shout out. Shout out to us in the studio, a shout out to your teacher, a shout out to your classmate, and then mention your name and the name of the school. So guys, do keep in touch. We like hearing from you guys. I'm sorry about that. Now, the compass direction. Guys, the compass directions are important when describing one's position. I'm sorry. What we need to know is that a compass has 4 main directions. So the 4 main directions that we know, it is your north, your east, your south, and your west. And then from there, guys, it is divided into 4 more directions. Like I said, the main one is north, east, your south, and your west. And then it is divided into 4 more. Between north and east, we've got northeast, southeast, southwest, and the northwest. Guys, I know some of you are doing geography and you are also doing this section in geography. Let us not confuse the 2 subjects, guys. In Math Lit, we only work with the 8 cardinal points. I know in other subjects you do more than 8, you do about 16, but for this subject, for mathematical literacy, we are only working with 8 cardinal points, which is your north, your northeast, east, southeast, south, southwest, west, and the northwest. Those are the 8 cardinal points that you are going to work with. So we are going to use this compass direction to help us find the location using directional indicators. So guys, when it comes to the questions of compass direction, you will never write a paper 2 question paper with the maps and then there's a compass. They don't ask you to give the general direction. So they will always ask you to give the general direction from one place to the other. The key word there, it is the general direction. As soon as you see the word general, then you must know that, oh, it means I need to give the direction in terms of the compass directions. Most learners, they get confused when they're asked to give a general direction. Then they want to explain that 10 left, 10 right, go straight. No, that is something totally different. When they say general direction, you know that I must focus on my 8 cardinal points. So the key word there, guys, it is what it is, general. Are we okay? And then the other thing that you guys must know is that you need to make sure you must make sure that you know all these points by head, because sometimes the examiner will give you an arrow facing up and say this is north. So if this is just north, you must know how to complete this compass direction by yourself. So there's a lot of things that different learners from different schools are using to help them remember the cardinal points. So with the learners that I've taught, I always tell them that they must never, ever smoke weed. So in this case, they know that the never is N for north, ever is E for east, smoke is S for south, weed is W for west. So if you know that you must never ever smoke weed, you know that you'll always come all right when you are giving your compass direction. And sometimes the examiner will give you a compass direction with the arrow facing that side, and then they say it is north. When it's like that, it means you work with that. That is where your north is for that particular diagram. You don't change it. What you must know is that you must complete it. And how do you complete it? You must never, ever smoke weed. There is your completed compass direction. And you know, in between you've got the northwest. Here you've got the northeast. This side you've got the southeast, and then finally you've got your southwest, and then you got a complete compass direction. Remember guys, you are expected to know this by heart. So guys, we are going to use the directions as I've mentioned, for the 8 cardinal points to give the different general direction. So you must also make sure that these are just the tips when you're working with the compass and the maps. Be sure to orientate. To orientate is to position. Be sure to position the map or the plan for the direction in which you are traveling so that you give the correct directions. Remember, I said that the examiner will ask you to give the general direction. When they say general direction, you know that your main focus will be your north or your east, your southwest, your northeast. That is your focus point. But sometimes they will then ask you to give the directions that someone must take moving from point A to point B. Now guys, here is a tip. If you are going to give directions traveling from one point to the other, the most important things that you must mention, how do we allocate the marks? One, you must always mention the point of departure. If you are giving someone the directions from your classroom to the main office or the admin office, you must mention that, okay, from 12B, you must head south to the door, or maybe head 10 left to the door. And then once you are at the door, from the door, turn right. And then when you turn right, you are going to pass maybe the computer lab on your left, continue straight, and then on your right, you are going to see the girls' bathrooms. After the girls' bathrooms, you must make sure that you turn left. And then continue straight on the passage. You are going to see the tuck shop on your right. Pass the tuck shop, the next building, that will be the admin block. That is an example of how you give the direction. How did I give those directions? How do we allocate the marks? 1, you are going to get a mark for mentioning from the classroom. Where must I go? Do I turn left? Do I turn right? 1 mark for that. And then after that, for mentioning the important landmarks. In this instance, you mentioned the computer lab. You will get a mark. You mentioned the girls' bathrooms. That is very important. You will be awarded for that. And then you mentioned on the particular road that I must turn left, for mentioning that turn left. And then as I was going, the other important landmark that you mentioned was the tuck shop. Very important. And then from the tuck shop, you said the building after the tuck shop, that is the admin block. It means now you are mentioning my point of arrival, that you have arrived at your destination. That is how we allocate the marks. So you mention the left, the right, up, down, your north, your east, your west. You mention those things, and then you mention all the important objects or the landmarks that you are going to come across. Sometimes you will be required to give the directions for someone that is traveling from one city to the other. In that case, like even if with a small map, First, you just do the traveling with your highlighter or your blue pen. Maybe you are giving someone directions from Johannesburg to Durban. Walk through that path with your blue pen or your highlighter from Johannesburg to Durban. And then from there, you can see where Durban is. You can see where Johannesburg is. As you mentioned that from Johannesburg, head south on the N3. It means you mentioned what the direction south, and you're mentioning a very, very important, the name of the route, which is what? Which is the N3. So you are mentioning the national road. And as we are driving on the national road, obviously, you are going to come across some towns and cities. You mentioned those towns. You mentioned that you are going to see Villiers on your left. You mentioned that you are going to see Harrismith. You are going to see Ladysmith. All the towns that you see on the map, you mention them. So guys, that is how you give the directions. The point of departure, you mention the important roads. You mention your left, your right, or your west, or your east, or your north, or your south. You also mention the important roads that you see. And then you mention the point of arrival, that after passing this, then you have arrived at your destination. That is how we give directions. And normally for that question, the mark allocation is normally between 4, 5, or 6 marks. So it carries a lot of marks when you're giving directions, and it's not something that you should be getting wrong. Most of you must actually get the maximum mark in that type of a question. But sometimes the examiner can turn things around. Instead of asking you to give the directions, the examiner can now give you the instructions. They can give you the directions that you must follow. And then after following those directions, you must now mention where are you? What is the point that you are going to arrive at? So that one, I find it very easy. You must just make sure that you are sure you know your left and right, guys. Don't be like me, left and right. I'm very confused when it comes to left and right. So don't be like me. You must make sure that when you enter that exam room, you are sure you know where is your left, you know where is your right. So that when you are giving instruction, as you follow the instructions, again, when they give you the instructions, make sure that you highlight the route that you are taking. You can use a highlighter. If you don't have a highlighter, use your blue pen to highlight the route that you are going to be traveling on. So that is what, as far as the campus directions and giving the directions is concerned. Now I have an example here of a grid reference. This is a grid reference because it's got the numbers this side and then it's got the letters this side. So here for this one, guys, before we even go to the questions, I want us to apply what we have learned so far as the campus direction is concerned. An example that I want to make here, give the general direction of the Northern Cape from Free State. The key word here is from. As soon as it says from a particular place, that from, that is where you are going to draw your campus. So if it says from the Free State, it means you are at the Free State, and this is where you are going to draw your campus. Remember, our campus is here, so you are going to redraw it here to say this is still north, this is still south, this is still east, and this is still west. So I said I want the general direction of what? Of the Northern Cape from the Free State. So what is the general direction? There it is actually what it is, southwest. Give the general direction of, let's say, of the Eastern Cape from Limpopo. It says from Limpopo. So there is Limpopo. This is where you're going to draw your campus direction. And I said I want the general direction of what? Of the Eastern Cape. So how do we get there? Where is the Eastern Cape? This is the Eastern Cape, meaning that it is what? It is actually what? It is also the southwest of Limpopo. So guys, that is how you give a general direction. If they say from, that is where you're going to draw your campus direction. Sometimes they won't say from, sometimes they will say in relation to. When they say in relation to, that is where you place your campus direction. They can say, give the general direction of Botswana in relation to Namibia. When they say in relation to Namibia, this is where you are going to draw your campus to say this is what this is north, this is south, this is east, and then this is west. So what is the general direction of Botswana? It is actually northeast. So that is how, guys, you use a compass direction. And then, guys, let's just practice. And when we work with the grid reference, guys, when we are locating a position, the place, we are not interested in the name. We want the point that is there. For example, look at Nelspruit. What is the grid reference of Nelspruit? Here is Nelspruit. Nelspruit. The grid reference of Nelspruit, we've got a letter here, but this is the position of Nelspruit. So the grid reference of Nelspruit would be what? It would be D2. Nelspruit, it is at D2. We focus on the point, on the position, not on the letter, not on the word. And then I also want the grid reference for East London. Where is East London? Here is East London. Some of you are confused, but here it falls into 2 blocks. So which one do we choose? You don't panic. You know that we are not interested in this, but we are interested in this, the position. Meaning that East London, the grid reference for East London now is what? It is C4. That is the grid reference for East London. And then the Karoo National Park. Where is the Karoo National Park? Here is the Karoo National Park. So what would be the grid reference of the Karoo National Park? Here is the position, guys. So Karoo National Park would be where? It would be at B4. And then if I wanted the grid reference for maybe for Durban. Durban is very straightforward. It is here. So the grid reference for Durban, will be D3. And then sometimes we are in the exam, you get confused. The correct way of writing the grid reference is starting with the alphabet and then the number. But there's nothing wrong if you start with the number and then the alphabet later. It is still also acceptable. You will still get your full marks. So instead of saying D3, if you say 3D, you will still get your full marks. So here is a practical question. These are some possible questions that you can come across in the exam. What can you see located in D4? So this is D, this is 4. So where is our D4? This is our D4. So guys, what can we see here? The only thing that I can see here, it is the compass direction. So I'm going to write it down to say that I'm seeing the compass direction. Someone is saying the cardinal points. That is okay. Compass directions. So that is what we can see that is located under D4. Write down the grid reference for the Golden Gate National Park. So this is actually 2 questions here. It's question number 1 and then question number 2. Write down the grid reference for the Golden Gate National Park. Where is the Golden Gate National Park? It is here. There is the Golden Gate National Park. So they want us to write the grid reference. And what is the grid reference for this? It is C2. So the correct answer here is C2. And then the second question, which national park or parks are situated in Limpopo? So where is Limpopo? There is in the north of South Africa. There is Limpopo. Do I see any national parks there? I see the Pietersburg, which is now Polokwane, and then there is the Kruger National Park. So the correct answer for this question would be what? Would be Kruger National Park. I think that is the only one that we have here. That is the only one that we can see. In which general direction? And again, there is the keyword general. You know that I must use the compass. In which general direction is Upington from Johannesburg? That word again, from. When it says from, It means you go and position your campus where at Johannesburg. So I'm going to go straight to my Johannesburg. Here is Johannesburg, guys. And then I'm going to draw the campus here. And then it is north, it is south, it is east, and then it is west. I'm drawing this campus direction is this one. So they want what the general direction of what? Of Upington. Where is Upington, guys? There is Upington. So we are going to draw our campus direction. There is Upington. So what is the general direction, guys? The general direction is southwest. So the correct answer there is southwest. Or if you are lazy, you can just write SW, but we don't encourage laziness. SW, southwest, the same thing, full marks. And now, guys, we are done with the campus direction and the grid reference. We've got another type of a map. Remember, this one, it is also known as the small maps. So this type of a map, and this is an example of a seating plan. What is a seating plan? Most of you are going to come across seating plan once you start with your formal exams, especially your prelim exams and your final exams. So when you sit for those exams, you're not going to sit the way that you are seated now, sitting next to your friend. If you want to sit at the back, you go and sit at the back. No, it doesn't work like that. You guys will sit according to a given seating plan. And there are so many factors that determines the seating plan. You guys can be arranged according to your surnames in alphabetical order, or you can be arranged by the exam numbers. When you start matric, you register to write exam for that particular matric. Yeah, so once you are a registered candidate, you get a special exam number. So when you sit for your exam, your final exam, you will sit according to your exam numbers. You will see your teachers will develop a sitting plan, which is very unique per subject. So with you guys as Maths Lit learners, you are very lucky because we are exposed to these things in your favorite subject. So you will be able to interpret that sitting plan once the time for the exams start. So how does a sitting plan work? So a sitting plan, guys, you'll be given sort of like a map that shows the different numbers and then where each number will be located. We also see the sitting plans in cinemas. The people that have been to a cinema, you will know that when you buy a ticket, a movie ticket, you cannot just go and sit wherever you like. On your ticket, there will be a seat number of where you are supposed to sit. So your ability to interpret and read that ticket will come in handy so that you don't end up sitting on the wrong seat. So normally you'll be told that you are going to sit at C2 or you are going to sit at DD3. So you being the Maths Lit learner, you are not going to struggle when you come across such things. Also, the people that have visited the stadiums to watch soccer or maybe to go for a concert at the stadium, you will note that even at the stadium, the seats have numbers. So you don't just sit wherever, you are allocated a special seat number. So that those are just examples of the seating plans. So here we've got a seating plan of a lodge or a guest house or a hotel, but it is a sitting plan. It's showing what it's showing. It's actually this is the layout, or it can be a sitting plan. It is showing us how the furniture is organized in that particular guest house. What we can see here, we can identify the number of seats, the seating arrangements, the direction from one seat to the other. So the possible questions that you can expect from a plan, they can ask you to give the number of seats that are available on the plan. Since this one, it even has a campus direction, they can ask you to give the general direction of one bedroom in relation to the other. For this one, they can ask us how many doors are available on this sitting plan, or how many windows are available on this plan, but that section will do it in detail in the section of plans and elevations in term 3. But these are just some of the possible questions that you can be asked. They can ask how many beds are reflected there on that sitting plan. So you must be able to count them. The nicest thing about the questions on the plans is that most of them is not something that you have to think about to stress your head and crack your skull. It's things that the answers are there. The answers are there. You just have to make sure that you understand the question and go and take your answer from your sitting plan. So here is a possible exam question. They say study the layout of the sitting plan of the resort alongside and answer the questions that follow. So A, if each room can accommodate a maximum of 2 people, determine how many people can stay at the resort. First of all, let's determine how many bedrooms are we having. We've got 1, we've got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So in total, we've got 9 bedrooms. So they say each room can accommodate a maximum of 2 people. So how many people can stay at the resort? We say 9 bedrooms multiplied by 2 people, which will give us a total of what? Of 18 people. So it means for this resort can accommodate a maximum of 18 people. Guys, I hope you understand this section and you are enjoying this lesson. Please remember to keep in touch. Send us a WhatsApp. We'd like to hear from you guys. Our WhatsApp number is reflected on your screens there. So do send a shout out in our WhatsApp line, guys. We like hearing from you. And then I will also send a shout out back to you. The second question, we must determine the number of people that can be accommodated in the dining room if all the seats are filled. Where is the dining room? How do we even know that is the dining room? We're looking at this. This is the table and these are the chairs. It means this is where people can sit and dine. So how many tables are there? It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And each table can accommodate how many chairs? Each table can accommodate up to 4 chairs. So if there are 7 tables with 4 chairs, how many people can be accommodated? So we'll say 7 multiplied by 4, which is equals to about what, guys? About 28. So how many people? 28 people. Are we? I hope we are okay. We are following, we understand. And then this one, guys, this is not the dining room. This is actually, it could be the waiting area or where people can sit where they want to relax. So the dining area is where people actually sit on a table to dine, to eat and enjoy their dinner or their breakfast, whatever. What is the difference between the people residing, staying at the resort and the number of people that can dine at the resort? Guys, in Maths Lit, when they ask you what is the difference, they want you to subtract. They don't want you to explain. Yo, guys, some of you will explain that, no, those ones that are staying, it means they are sleeping there. And those ones that are dining, it means they are just there to eat. No, we don't want that. When you see the word difference in Maths Lit, it means they want you to do what? To do subtraction. So remember, the number of people that are staying is those people that are sleeping at the resort. And then from our previous slide, this one, we said there is 18 people that can be accommodated in the bedroom. So let me say staying, it is a maximum of 18 people. So, and then they say the difference between the number of people that are staying at the resort and the number of people that can dine. And then we also got the number of people that can dine. We discovered that the number of people that can dine is actually 28 people. So we say for dine is equals to 28. Now we want the difference. The difference would be the bigger one minus the smaller one. So the difference will be 28 minus 18, which is equals to 10. So the difference between those that are staying and those that are dining is what? Is 10. And then we've got an example of a street map, guys. The street map usually gives an in-depth view of the city. It shows the streets, the scale, and sometimes it has a grid reference. And then it would also have a compass direction. Let us look at this map of ours. This one, it has a bar scale. This is the scale. So you can expect the examiner to ask you what type of a scale is represented in that map. So this scale is a bar scale. And then guys, we've got a compass direction. But this compass direction is a bit confusing because we have 1, 2, 3, 4. And then north is right here in the middle. So in actual fact, where is north? Which one is north? So the trick here, you see all these arrows, this one and that one, they're they're the same size. But when you look at this one, it is big. It is bigger than all of them. So it means this abnormal one, it is the one that will then represent your north direction. So that is how you would interpret this compass direction. And then, guys, when you're looking at the streets there, look at this. This is Bloemfontein. So in Bloem, you've got Zastron Street. This is Zastron Street. From Zastron, this road, it has the arrows that are facing that side. These are the arrows that are facing that side. What can happen here, guys, is that the examiner can ask you, what do these arrows mean? So you must know that these arrows mean that this is a one-way traffic road. It means all the cars that are traveling here, they're traveling one way. And then this one, the Nelson Mandela, the arrows are going the opposite direction. So for the Nelson Mandela, it is also a one direction road. It's a one-way traffic road. It means the cars that are traveling here, all of them must travel towards that particular direction. So you can get a map that shows the streets, and then there are arrows on the streets. When the examiner asks you what do those arrows indicate, you will tell them that it indicates that it is a one-way traffic. It is a one-way traffic road. Are we okay, guys? And then sometimes they can ask you that in Nelson Mandela, you see in Nelson Mandela, all the arrows are facing that side. They can ask you, why is it that someone that is traveling on this road cannot travel that direction? You tell them they can't travel that direction because this road, it is a one-way traffic. It only travels towards the left. That is the meaning of one-way traffic. And then on our map here, guys, I see the weight there, N8. It means now our street map can also show them the streets that you find on a map. So this N here, the N8, the N stands for what? For national. So any roads that has an N on your map, you know that it's a national road. That's what it means. The examiner can ask you, what does the N on N8 mean? You tell them that it means it's a national road. We also have the R's, guys. Look at this one. It is R706. They can ask you, what does this R mean? The R means what it means. It is a regional road. It is a regional road. It means it cuts in between the regions. When you travel from one region to the other. It even passes through the different provinces. So when you see a R, it stands for regional. And then lastly, guys, I have M11 or M11. And then when they ask you what does the M stand for, you tell them that it means it's a metropolitan road. Metropolitan. It's a metropolitan road. If you are in the exam, metropolitan is too difficult for you, you just say it is a metro. It is a metro road. And this, because it's a metro road, it is normally found in your metro cities like your Johannesburg, Pretoria, Cape Town, Durban, Bloemfontein. Those are the metro cities. So that is where you would find your metro roads. But guys, I hope you've learned something new today, that the N is the national roads, the R's regional, and the M's, it's your metro roads. So we've analyzed our street map, and then the names of the streets are also indicated. And then guys, here is a possible exam question. Let's hear what they are saying here. They say Free State Stadium is in Bloemfontein and was one of the stadiums that was used during the 2010 World Cup soccer tournament. Shane visited his friend Peter in Bloem. Study the street map of the area around the stadium alongside and answer the questions that follow. We've already studied and analyzed this map. I think now we can go to our questions. A. Name the national road that is visible on the map. Remember, now you know what is the meaning of a national road. If you didn't know, you wouldn't even know where to start. So the national road that is visible on the map is this one. It is N8. So the correct answer here, it is the N8. That is the national road that is visible on this particular map. And then the second question, Peter gave Shane the following directions to a popular restaurant he's having lunch at. Enter Bloemfontein from Kimberley in Zastron Street. So this is Bloemfontein. Remember, this is Kimberley. So when they say from, it means you are coming that side. And then they say you enter in what? In Zastron. Guys, this is Zastron. Do you see what I'm doing? This is what you'll be doing as well in your map in the exam. And then turn right into Gordon Road. So where is Gordon, guys? Here is Gordon. First of all, let's highlight the things that I mentioned. Gordon, there is Gordon. And then George, where is St. George Road? This is St. George Road. And then Kazin, where is Kazin? This is Kazin. Now let's start afresh from the instruction. Enter Bloemfontein. We are entering Bloemfontein. From Kimberley in Zastron. This is Zastron Road, guys. We are traveling in Zastron. And then from Zastron, they say you must turn right into Gordon's. People, don't confuse your left and your right. Remember, now you are facing that direction. And when you're facing that direction, this would be your right onto Gordon. So turn right onto Gordon. After turning right, guys, you are facing the opposite direction now. You must turn right on St. George. Where is St. George? This is St. George. And where is your right now? This is your right. And then after turning right onto St. George, you must now turn left onto Kazin. This is Kazin. You turn left onto Kazin, and Kazin is a street that is turning. And then once we are here, we are around here, we are on Kazin, we are around here, we don't know where to go. What is the question? Use the directions above. We've used those directions to determine in which restaurant is Peter having lunch at. So which restaurant, guys? It is McDonald's. So Peter is having lunch at McDonald's. That is the correct answer. Remember, I said they can give you the instructions to follow and you mention where you are going to end up, or they can ask you to give the general instruction or the general direction. Not the general direction, guys, the directions from one place to the other. When they want the general directions, they want you to use the compass direction, or rather the cardinal points. So I hope you saw how I got to my place. You highlight the places that you must go to, you circle them, and then you go back and you follow the instructions. At least you have an idea of where you are supposed to be going. The next question, identify the type of scale that is used on the map. Here is our scale, guys. This type of a scale is called a bar scale. I hope we all got this one right. It's a bar scale. And then a bit of an interesting question. This one will test if you guys remember what we learned last week. The measured distance on the map as the crow flies. Remember, as the crow flies, I said it is a straight line distance using a bird's eye view. It's as if you are flying. So the measured distance on the map, this is the map distance from the police station to the agricultural statue. Where is the police station, guys? Okay, it's somewhere there on the map, but I'm not going to waste time looking for it because they've done the measurement for us. From the police station to the agricultural statue is 9 centimeters. Now, you need to convert this 9 centimeters to millimeters. Guys, you are going to find questions like this in the exam. You must know your metric conversions. You must know them from memory. So what do you use to help you? We are using King Henry died, miserable death, cold, measles. And then in between, you've got a 10, you've got a 10, 10, 10, 10, and a 10. And we all know when you are moving from a larger unit to a smaller unit, you are going to multiply. From a smaller unit to a larger unit, you are going to divide. In this case, we are converting centimeters to what? To millimeters, meaning we are moving from a larger unit to a smaller unit. So we are going to multiply, and multiply by what? By 10. So the conversion factor between centimeters and millimeters, it's a 10. So we say 9 centimeters multiply by 10 to give us an answer of what? Of 90. But now it is 90 what? 90 millimeters. And then this is how you get your 2 marks. We are going to use the scale, guys, of the map. Remember, this is our scale. And then here it is 300, guys. And then we've got our M, which is going to be 300 meters. It means the length of our bus scale in reality, it's actually 300 meters. Use the scale of the map and your answer of D. Remember, our answer is D was what? It was 90 millimeters. This one, guys. This one, this is the 90 millimeters I'm referring to. So, we are going to use the answer of D, the 90 millimeters, and determine the actual distance to the nearest kilometer between the police station and the agricultural station. That is the only thing that we have, guys, here. We know that the distance from police station to the agricultural station, it's equals to 90 millimeters. So this is the distance on the map. We must calculate the actual distance. But where do we start? This is where we start. If you don't have this, you are not going to be able to work out the questions of scale in the exam. And since now my distance from the police station to the agricultural station is in millimeters, I'm going to use the millimeters again here to measure my bus scale. So when I measure my bus scale here, I'm getting my bus scale is equivalent to 20 millimeters. So the bus scale, when we measure the bus scale, I got 20 millimeters. Remember, the 20 millimeters is equivalent to what on the bus scale? To 300 meters. I hope we are all okay. It's equivalent to 300 meters. So now, guys, don't mind the accuracy of the answer and everything. The most important thing here that I want you guys to grasp is the concept. It is the principle on how to calculate this should you come across something like this in the exam. So remember I said when you write a scale like in a ratio like this, the first one will always represent the map, and then the next one will always represent the actual. So here we've got the map distance. We said it is 19 millimeters. So we want the actual distance. I will just say actual. So then I'm going to cross multiply. We say 20 multiplied by actual. It is 20 actual equals to 90 multiplied by 300. I hope you guys are working it out there. 90 multiplied by 300. The answer is 27,000. But we want the actual. So how do we get the actual? We divide by 20. We divide this side by 20. 20 and 20, they cancel. Therefore, our actual distance. And guys, our actual distance is going to be in what? Is going to be in meters, because this side, it is also meters. So 27,000 divided by 20, the answer is 1,350, but it is 1,350 what? Meters. But what was the instruction? They wanted the answer to the nearest kilometer. So to convert from meters to kilometers, using King Henry, guys, from meters to kilometer, we are going to divide, and we divide by what? By 1,000. Guys, you must be knowing this. I cannot imagine there's a grade 12 learner sitting somewhere not knowing that when you convert from meters to kilometers, we divide by 1,000. So divide by 1,000, the answer would then be equals to 1,000. 0.35 kilometers. But they say they want it to the nearest kilometer. So if they say to the nearest something, it means they want the answer as a whole number. So 1.35 as a whole number, the answer is actually 1 kilometer. So that is the distance from the police station to the agricultural statue. It is 1 kilometer. Which city and town would you go to if you left Bloemfontein via Zastron Street? Remember, we entered Bloemfontein from Kimberley using Zastron, ne? This is Zastron. So now they said we are leaving Bloemfontein. We are not going into the city. We are leaving it. So this is how you leave Bloemfontein. So which city and town would you go to? So the only city and town, the town that I see here, it is Thaba Nchu, and the city is what it is, Maseru. I know it might not be clear there to you, but these are the two places. The town, it is Thaba Nchu. Guys, remember Thaba Nchu, it is a town in the Free State. And then the city is Maseru. Maseru is a city in Lesotho. So then 2 marks for Thaba Nchu, and then 2 marks for Maseru. Name the 2 streets surrounding the Free State Stadium. Where is the Free State Stadium? This is the Free State Stadium. So the 2 streets, it is your Kingsway and then your Art Horak. These are the 2 streets. So we'll say it is Kingsway. And then it is what? It is Art Horak. Someone can also say, but ma'am, even First Street, this is First Street. So even if you say First Street is also okay. So you'll say also First Street. But the question only wanted 2. So if you mention any of the 2, you will get your mark. Guys, in the exam, you follow the instructions. If they say you give 2, you give exactly 2. You don't provide an extra 1, 3. No. If they say 2 and then you give 3, we penalize you, minus 1 mark. So you follow the instruction. When they want 2, you give 2. When they want 1, you give 1. When they want 3, you give only 3. And then we have an example of a provincial map. A provincial map, I know it might not be very clear, guys, on your side. Apologies for that. It indicates the roads, the towns that are found within a province. So basically, we are in Gauteng. The one that we could be working with would be a map of Gauteng, which shows all the cities, all the towns. It will show your Boksburg, your Benoni. It must show Soweto. It must show Vanderbijl Park. It must show Lenasia. Which other towns it can show Pretoria, can show Johannesburg. All those towns are found in the province of Gauteng. And then the major provincial roads are indicated by a diamond shape. So in this case, we don't have a diamond shape. And then the minor provincial roads are indicated by a rectangle or the letter R. Remember, the R, I said, is for regional roads. So in this case, we've got I can see the national roads that are appearing there in our map, which is your N2, your N6, your N10. Yeah, all those national roads. And then we are seeing, it means this map is actually the map of the Eastern Cape. So what you see here, it's all the towns in Eastern Cape, like your Port St. John's, Mount Frere, Aliwal North, Lady Grey. All these towns are the towns that you will find in the province of the Eastern Cape. And then we've got the biggest map, which is obviously our national map. Our national map, it will show all the 9 provinces in our country. And then sometimes it will also indicate the national roads, like this particular map is showing your N1s, N2s, N3s, they're appearing there. And then most importantly, we have the scale of the map. Here is the scale of the map. We have the compass direction. And like I said, they're only giving us up to say that up is north. And then you must remember that if this is north, then you must never, ever smoke weed. And then you work with this particular compass directions. They say the national roads are made up of the root numbers beginning with N. Remember, I said N is for what? For national roads. And then they are from N1 up to N18. It doesn't mean, guys, that we have actually 18 national roads. No, there are some numbers that are missing there. The national roads are indicated by the letter N and the number inside a rectangle, like I explained when I started today's lesson. Here is a possible question, guys, that you can come across when you are working with a national road map. Describe the two other possible routes besides the N1, besides the N1, from Johannesburg to Bloem. Before you can even go there, identify your places. Here is Johannesburg. Where is Bloemfontein? Here is Bloemfontein. So the route that we can use from Johannesburg to Bloemfontein, it is this one. But this one is the N1. And then they said besides the N1. So we can't use this road. So how else can we get there? We can also use this road. And then from here, we can go there. And then it will take us to Bloemfontein. So what is this road that we use here? It is the N3. After the N3, guys, at Harrismith, then we can turn to N5. So how do you describe the possible routes? You say from Johannesburg, let me write it neatly. From Johannesburg, take N3 to Harrismith. Take N3 to Harrismith. Guys, I know it's not very clear. And then from Harrismith, take the N5. Take the N5 to Bloemfontein. So these are the two roads that a person can use besides the N1. The N3 to Harrismith, from Harrismith join the N5, and then the N5 will take you to Bloem. We are going to use the bus scale. Where is our bus scale? Yo, guys, this is our bus scale. And then our bus scale, it's is done using two different systems. We have it in the metric system. We also have it in the imperial system. But we are in South Africa, so the system that we are working with, it is the metric system. So we are only going to focus on the top part of the scale, this part here. This part, this is how our bus scale is going to be like. I know, guys, it's not very clear, so I'm gonna write these values for you, that this, it is actually 300 kilometers. So from here, this is 200, from here to there, it is 300 kilometers. So we are going to use the bus scale to determine the actual return distance from Pretoria to Bloem and back to Pretoria. Okay, the fact that we said return, it means we can cancel this back. So you want the distance from Pretoria to Bloem, and then we want what? A return distance. Return means to go and to come back. So whatever distance that you calculate, you will multiply it by 2. So guys, our first step again, it is the ruler. Where is Johannesburg? Remember I said we always focus on the position. Where is Bloemfontein? This is Bloemfontein. So it's up to you. You can use your centimeters. You can use your millimeters. It's okay. It doesn't really matter, guys. So I'm going to draw a straight line between these two cities. I've drawn a straight line and I'm taking measurements. I've got 1, 2, 3. I've got 23 millimeters. From Bloem to Pretoria, I've got 23 millimeters. And now I'm going to measure my bus scale. Because I use millimeters, for the bus scale, I'm also going to use the millimeters. So I'm going to measure my bus scale. Oh, I'm sorry. For the bus scale, I'm going to use the millimeters again. And then I'm getting 12 millimeters. So the bus scale, it is 12 millimeters. So now I'm going to write my scale in the ratio form to say that, okay, 12 millimeter on the bus scale is actually equivalent to what? To 300 kilometers. I have the measured distance from Bloemfontein to Pretoria. It is what? It is 23 millimeters. So I want my actual distance. Guys, this side we've got millimeters and millimeters. The units are the same, they will cancel. So it means whatever distance I'm going to get here, it is going to be in kilometers. So let's cross multiply. 12 multiplied by actual, it is 12 actual. And then 23 multiplied by 300, that is where you take out your calculators to say 23 multiplied by 300, it is 6,900. 6,900. But we want the actual distance, so I'm going to divide this side by 12. What you do this side, you'll also do on the other side. So this and that, they cancel. Therefore, the actual distance is equals to 575 kilometers. But remember, this is just a single trip. They said they want a return to go and to come back. So for a return distance, we'll say 575 kilometers, multiply that by 2. So that times by 2, the answer is 1,150 kilometers. So this, it is the approximate distance from Pretoria to Bloemfontein. The most important thing here, it is the principle, the method. What is your starting point? You always start with your ruler, because they didn't give you anything there. There's nothing. So for you to start somewhere, you need your ruler. You measure your bar scale. You measure your distance from one place to the other. Remember, we said here we got what? We got 23 millimeters. And we measured our bar scale. We got our bar scale to be 12 millimeters. Guys, please keep those messages coming. I haven't received anything at the moment. As soon as the messages come in, I will give you guys a special shout out. So, still using the same map as in the previous question, Sihle and Pule traveled from Pretoria to Bloemfontein. They left, also it's a follow-up from this question. Remember, what was our distance here? It is 575 kilometers. So I'm just going to write it here, that the distance was 575 kilometers. So we're saying that Sihle and Pule traveled from Pretoria to Bloem for a distance of 575 kilometers. They left Pretoria at 10:45 and arrived in Bloemfontein at 15:15. This is in the afternoon. So they left in the morning, and then this is in the afternoon. Calculate the average speed in kilometers per hour they will be driving, and round your final answer off to the nearest kilometer per hour. Whoo, guys, this question is serious. It's heavy stuff. So where do we start? We've got our distance. They want us to calculate the speed, but do we have time? Not really. The only thing that we know, we have the time that they left from Pretoria and the time that they arrived. So they left at 10:45. You can count using your fingers. From 10:45, it is 11:45, 12:45, 1:45, 2:45. So from 2:45 up to 3 o'clock, it is 15 minutes. From 3 o'clock to 3:15, it is 30 minutes. So it means the entire time that they took to travel was 4 hours, 30 minutes, or 4.5 hours. Or you can do it manually. You did this in grade 11, guys, elapsed time. It is 15. You always take the bigger time. 15, you subtract your smaller time. 10:45. So what do we say? We say 15 minutes minus 45 minutes. Can we do that? No, remember this side, it is the minutes, and this side is the hours. So 15 minutes cannot subtract 45 minutes. So what do we do? Now, guys, I'm taking you guys back to grade 1. I'm going next door to borrow. So borrow is 15 hours. I'm going to borrow 1 hour. What will I be left with? With 14 hours. So I borrowed 1 hour. But when you bring 1 hour this side you only work with minutes. So 1 hour converted to minutes, it becomes what? It becomes 60 minutes. So 60 plus 15 is what it is? 75. Now you can say 75 minus 45, and the answer is 13. So it means we've got 30 minutes. And then you say 14 hours minus 10 hours. What are you left with? You are left with 4 hours. That is why I said the time that they will take, it is 4 hours, 30 minutes. And then, guys, there's also a very, very easier way of calculating elapsed time using your calculators. Either this sharp calculator that you got from your school or your special Casio calculator. You should be able to calculate the elapsed time. If you don't know in grade 12 at this moment, please make sure to ask your teacher to show you how to calculate time using your calculator, or you can use this method that I showed here. So we know that our time is 4 hours 30 minutes, which is the same as 4,5 hours. Converting that, we convert 30 minutes. 30, remember 1 hour, it is 60 minutes. So if you have 30 minutes, it means it's half of an hour. That is why 4.5 hours or 4,5 hours. Now we've got distance, we've got time. What do we need now? We need speed. They didn't even give us a formula, guys. So remember, now we are going to use the DSTV formula. How do you, it is the DSTV. How does it work? You close this, and then you have this. You must know that this line means divide, this one means multiply. So in this case, what are you looking for? We must calculate the speed. So if you are looking for speed, speed is going to be distance, and then I said this line means what? Divide. Divided by what? By time. So speed is going to be distance over time. If we're looking for time, guys, time was going to be distance on top, and then the division line divide by, and then the speed at the bottom. If we're looking for distance, we're going to say distance equals to, it is speed. What is between speed and time? It is multiply, and then we've got your time. So make sure that you know this triangle, because like this question, you will be asked to calculate without being given any formula. So what is our distance again, guys? It is 575 kilometers. We are using a single trip distance because we want to know the speed that this person will be traveling at. So it's 575 kilometers divided by, what is our time? It is 4,5 hours. So you take your calculator, and then we say 575 divided by 4,5. What is the answer? It is 127,8. 127,8. Remember, this is what? This is kilometers per hour. Did we answer the question? Let us check. They said calculate the average speed in kilometers per hour, and then you must round your final answer to the nearest kilometer. And I said when they say to the nearest something, it means they want the answer as a whole number. So this one, to the nearest kilometer, it is actually 128 kilometers per hour. So normally the speed limit in our national roads is 120 kilometers per hour. So you can already see that this person has actually exceeded the speed limit. But this is not what this is all about. Here we just had to calculate the speed that this particular person was traveling at. So guys, we said this person was traveling at 128 kilometers per hour. The question is, what advice would you give Sihle about the speed they will be traveling on their way to Bloemfontein? Guys, what advice would you give? Then the speed limit is 120 kilometers on the national road, and then Sihle and the friends are traveling at 128. It means they've exceeded the speed limit by what? By 8 kilometers per hour. So it means they're breaking the law. Driving over the speed limit is against the law. So what advice would you give them? You would ask them to lower their speed or reduce. Lower or reduce their speed. Because we know that, guys, it's dangerous. Lower or reduce their speed. It's very dangerous. And then the next question, we must give 2 reasons why the map alongside is not used to plan a route from Pretoria to Bloemfontein. These people are traveling from where? From Pretoria to where? To Bloemfontein. So we need to give 2 reasons why this map is not used to plan a route. What could be the reason, guys? The one reason that I can think of is that this map is not showing the distances between the 2 places. So it becomes difficult for you to estimate. So we can say the map is not showing the distances between the 2 places. And what could be the other reason, girls and boys? What could be the other reason why this map cannot be used to plan a route from one place to another? I want you guys to answer that. Send me your questions on our WhatsApp line 082 760 2630. Send through your answers to E, and then I will shout out your answers and I will tell you if you are right or if you are wrong. But I do want to hear from you guys. I want to know what you guys are thinking based on this question. Why these people cannot use this map to plan for a road trip. And then, guys, we've got a strip chart. A strip chart or a route map, it depends on which way you want to use. We can say strip chart, we can say a route map. It is drawn vertically on a page like this. As you can see, this is vertically on a page, and it shows the distances on a national road. So this is a national road N1 between cities in South Africa. So here is our city. I'm sorry it's not showing when it was actually from Cape Town to Laingsburg. The next city here was Laingsburg. And then it is the map that primarily displays roads and transport links rather than the natural geographical information. So guys, let's quickly analyze this. These values that you see here, this is the distance in kilometers. These are the distances in kilometers. So if I wanted the distance from Cape Town to Laingsburg, from Cape Town to Laingsburg, I will look here, it's from 0 up to there, which is actually 250 something kilometers, but it's not showing well. It was something, I think it was 257 kilometers. If I wanted the distance from Cape Town to Bellville, from Cape Town to Bellville, what is the distance? It is 24 kilometers. If I wanted the distance from Cape Town to Paarl, from Cape Town to Paarl, it would be what? 16 kilometers. But if I wanted the distance, maybe let's say from Worcester to Paarl, between these 2 places, then I will say 103 minus 60. It will give me the distance between these 2 places. If I wanted the distance from Cape Town to Sutherland, this is Sutherland, I'm going to start by saying, okay, from Cape Town to Matjiesfontein is 232, and you write it down, 232. And then from Matjiesfontein to Sutherland, it is what? It is 110. So the total distance would be 342 kilometers. That would be the distance from Cape Town to Sutherland. This is basically how you work with a strip chart, and this is how you interpret it. And then here is a practical example, and then this is how you can expect questions from the exam. They say Stuart used the strip map of the route from East London to Harrismith while planning his trips around the Free State, Eastern Cape, and Lesotho. Study the strip map alongside and answer the questions that follow. So guys, this is the strip map. It is from East London. That is the starting point. Where is the finishing point? It's there. It is what it is, Wynberg. So it means if you are traveling from East London, it is 0 to Wynberg. Wynberg is what it is, 662 kilometers. If you are traveling from Umtata to East London, the distance would be 238 kilometers. If you are traveling from East London to Grahamstown, the distance is 180 kilometers. If you are traveling from Wynberg, here at 0, to East London, here it is what is 662 kilometers. You'll see from Wynberg to East London, from East London to Wynberg, it is the same distance. Let's say you wanted the distance from East London to Queenstown. The distance from East London to Queenstown would be 0 up to there. It would be 203 kilometers. If maybe I wanted the distance from Umtata to Queenstown, you will say from Umtata to East London, it is 238. And then from East London to Queenstown, it is 203. And then you get the total, which is equals to 238 plus 203. It gives us 441 kilometers. So the distance would be 441 kilometers. Let's go to the top up part of the map. Guys, if I wanted the distance from Maseru to Ladybrand, the distance is 27 kilometers. Let's say I want the distance from Maseru here to Bethlehem. How will I travel from Maseru to Bethlehem? It's going to be from Maseru to Ladybrand is what it is, 27. Plus, from Ladybrand to Ficksburg, it is what it is, 71. From Ficksburg to Clarence, it's what it is, 90. From Ficksburg to Bethlehem, it is what it is, 49. So what will be the total distance? You do your math there. It is 27 plus 71 plus 90 plus 49. So the total distance from Maseru to Bethlehem, it is 273 kilometers. Guys, this is how you work with a strip chart. The distances are given to you. If you want the distance from Wynberg to Bloemfontein, the distance is 113 kilometers. If you want the distance from Wynberg to Gariep Dam, let's say to Gariep, this is Gariep Dam. So you'll say, okay, from Wynberg to Smithfield, the distance is 247. Then you say 247. This is from Wynberg to Smithfield. But from Smithfield to Tessenderrivier, it is another 56 kilometers. From Tessenderrivier to Gariep Dam is what it is, 69 kilometers. So plus 69. And then you add the distances. It is 247 plus 56 plus 69. You get an answer of what? Of 372 kilometers. That is the distance from Wynberg to Gariep Dam. That is basically how you work with a strip chart. Let us see the possible exam questions. The possible exam question number 1, calculate the distance traveled from Bethlehem. Guys, where is Bethlehem? This is Bethlehem. To where? To Tessenderrivier. Where is Tessenderrivier? This is Tessenderrivier. Passing where? Passing Wynberg, meaning via Wynberg. So if you are traveling here from Bethlehem, past Wynberg, you are going to Tessenderrivier. This is your destination. Guys, I want you to try this one. Calculate the distance. I'm giving you only 1 minute to do this one, and then we'll discuss it together. 1 minute. Then I'll be back. Guys, welcome back. I hope you have a solution. Guys, we are getting your messages. Thank you so much for keeping in touch. We are with you here. And all those messages, people are asking me to repeat the question of time, that calculation that I did with time. And then others want me to explain again what I meant by as the crow flies. I will explain that. And apparently I'm moving too fast again. Guys, I really apologize for that. I wasn't aware. So let us do this one. I'm still awaiting your answers, by the way, but they're coming in very, very slow. So guys, we want the distance from Bethlehem, like I've indicated, to Tessen de Rivie. So you say from Bethlehem to Wynberg. That is where you start. What is the distance from Bethlehem to Wynberg? It is 131. So you write it down, it is 131. And then from Wynberg here to where to? To Smithfield. From Wynberg to Smithfield, it is what, guys? Here it is. From Wynberg to Smithfield, it is Wynberg to Smithfield. It is what? It is 247 kilometers. Remember, here is Smithfield. So from Smithfield to Tessen de Rivie, what is the distance? It is 56. So from Smithfield to Tessen de Rivie, it is 56 kilometers. So you add this, you add this, you add that, it should give you a total distance. So we say 131 plus 247 plus 56, which is a distance of what? Of 434 kilometers. So the total distance from Bethlehem to Tessen de Rivie, it is 434 kilometers. I hope you understand, guys. Guys, let me explain again. When they say calculate the distance as the crow flies, it means you are just calculating your distance on a straight line. Even if maybe you are calculating a distance from one house to the other, it means you are not going to say, there are streets, I must turn, I must do this. No, you just use a ruler, you draw a straight line with your ruler. So basically, just calculate the distance on a straight line. That is what is meant by as the crow flies. And then I will do an example of time when you calculate time, just when I'm done with my slides. I just want to quickly finish what I prepared today, and then I will show you guys another example of calculating time manually without using your calculator. How many national roads are indicated on the strip chart? We've got N5, we've got N1, we've got N8, we've got N6. We cannot count the N1 again, guys, because we've already counted it here. So how many national roads? It's 1, 2, 3, and then 4. So there is 4 national roads. That is the answer then. Straightforward. Yes, and then we've got elevation maps, guys. The elevation map, it is, or the name of this map, guys, is called an elevation map. It is also known as a profile map. It represents the height above the sea level or the altitude at different locations. So this side, guys, here, this is actually the height. I know it's not very clear, but you must know that here it is actually 61 meters. And then here we've got 150 meters. And then I want to check the highest. This one, it is actually 660 meters. I know it's not very clear there with you guys. So when you're having here at the bottom, it is the distances. From here up to there, you've got 2.5 kilometers. There you've got 5 kilometers. There you've got 10 kilometers, 15 kilometers, 20 kilometers, up to 25 kilometers. So normally the elevation map, we see it when people are taking part in a marathon. It's mostly for athletes that are taking part in their marathons. So this one, it was the Two Oceans Marathon, which was for a total of 25 kilometers. As we can see from the start here, it was 0, and then at the finishing there, when it ends, it covered a distance of 25 kilometers. Are we okay, guys? And then this one, it is this side here, it is the height, because as these people are running a marathon, guys, it is not a smooth ride. That is just smooth, you are just running. No, you run on mountains. You've got the steeps that are moving up, and then you've got the slopes that are also moving down. So it is ups and downs. It is not just a smooth ride. As you can see here from the start, they were traveling like this, and then already there was a steep at Newlands Forest, and then you can see that they are not constant. They are moving up and down, up and down. They are running, guys. It is not easy. It is not easy. It's difficult. And then just at 5 kilometers, at least they are going down. So what you need to know about this, guys, is that the most difficult part of the marathon is when they are moving up, when it is uphill. That will be the most difficult part of the marathon. For example, the examiner can ask you here, which part or which area was the most difficult part of the race. You will say the blockhouse, because at the blockhouse, you see, is the one that is so much steeper. It is very steep. Imagine if you were running here. Some of us won't even survive. And then the examiner can also ask, which part of the race was the easiest? It is there at the blockhouse here, or another block, the blockhouse at the finishing line. So this is the first blockhouse. This is the second blockhouse. So you can see the blockhouse towards the finishing line. That was the easiest part. It is the easiest part because it is moving. It is the slope. The slope is moving downhill, and we know when you move downhill, it is much easier than when you are moving uphill. The other question that the examiner can ask in this paper is that why is it the downhill is only at the finishing line? Why? It's easier because it is towards the end. And then remember, towards the end, these people have already been through so much. They are exhausted, so they deserve that smooth and easier finishing. And then we've got the different points, like here we've got the water point 1, water point, toilet, and medics. You know, sometimes the examiner can even ask, why are we having medics? Medics is the medical team. Why are we having the medical team? It's a marathon. Some people may be unfit, others will faint, others will run short of breath. So there's so many things that can happen. People will need medical attention. So that's why they have medical team that is waiting there. And then this one is called the Devil's Peak Lower Transverse, and then as you can see, it's up in the mountain, hence it's called the Devil's Peak. And then again, the other question that the examiner can ask, they can ask, what was the highest point that was reached on this marathon? The highest point, it was what? It was 660 millimeters. Or they can ask, the highest point was reached after how many kilometers? At this point, guys, it is 17.5 kilometers. So basically, with this type of a map, guys, all the answers are there. You are reading from the map. They ask you questions, the answers are here. That is how this map works. And I can take you back to your grade 11. When you're doing patterns and relationships, this map is so related to the patterns and relationships that all the information is given to you. When you are asked a question, you must just go and read, because the answers are there. The answers are given to you on an elevation map. And then the last type of a map, guys, that we are going to discuss today, it is the distance table. This is a very nice and easy map to work with. It shows the distances from one city to another. If you look at Bloemfontein, from Bloemfontein to Bloemfontein, there is nothing. The examiner can ask you, why is there no value from Bloemfontein to Bloemfontein? The reason why there is no value from Bloem to Bloem is because you are in one place. You didn't go anywhere, so there can't be a distance because you are still in the same city. But if you look at from Bloemfontein to Cape Town, what is the distance from Bloem to Cape? It is 1,004 kilometers. If I want the distance from Mafikeng to Johannesburg, from Mafikeng to Johannesburg, this is where they meet. So the distance from Mafikeng to Johannesburg, it is 287 kilometers. If I want the distance from PE, this is PE, to Pretoria. Where is Pretoria? This is Pretoria. So PE to Pretoria, the distance is what? It is 1,133. The question, guys, can say, what is the distance from Cape Town to Johannesburg via Bloemfontein? Let me get a clean map. I said the distance from where? From Cape Town to where? To Johannesburg. Where is Johannesburg? But you must via Bloemfontein. So I'm saying Cape Town to Johannesburg via Bloemfontein. It means from Cape Town to Johannesburg, you must first pass to where? At Bloemfontein. Via means you pass. So you are going to start by saying, okay, from Cape Town to From Cape Town to Bloemfontein, what is the distance? It is 1,004. And then from Bloem, then you travel to Johannesburg. What is the distance from Bloem to Johannesburg? It is now 3. Let me say from Bloem to Joburg. It is now what? It is 398. So you add the two. It is 1,004 plus 398. The answer is 1,402 kilometers. Guys, this is how you use a distance table. So here is another question. Write down the distance between Mafikeng and Port Elizabeth. So this is Port Elizabeth. This is Mafikeng. What is the distance between the two places? It is 1,141 kilometers. That is the distance between the two places. Guys, please make sure that you go and revise these maps as you prepare for your upcoming June exams. Remember, the section of the maps will be on your paper. 2. Which two cities are closest to each other? Looking at the map, guys, because it's me, I know the places. For you guys, you'll have to search. But we are actually looking at the shortest distance. So the shortest distance, it is 58 kilometers. This 58 kilometers is between Johannesburg and Pretoria. So which two cities are closest to each other? It is Pretoria and what? And Johannesburg. Guys, don't be like me. Don't write Joburg. Write it in full to say that it is Johannesburg. And then, guys, we have a special shout out here. It's still Kilebogile Serewo from Kilukisitse Secondary School. Hi, Kilebogile. I hope you are enjoying the lesson. And then we also have Tando from Lofense Secondary School. And the classmates, guys, I'm so happy that you are with me this afternoon. I really hope that you guys are enjoying today's lesson. And then, guys, we have come to the end of the session. I'm looking at the time now. It is 3:35. Remember, this lesson started at what time? It started at 1400, at 2 o'clock. And then it ended when? I'm sorry. It ended now at 15:35. So if you are going to calculate the elapsed time, how long did it take our lesson? If you want to calculate, you'll always take the bigger time is 15. You will say 15:35, and then you subtract the smaller time. In this case, it is 1400. Or this one is straightforward, guys. It's easy. You say 35 minus 0, it is 35. And then 15 minus 14, it is what? It is 1. So it means our lesson took what? It took 1 hour, 35 minutes. Let's say, guys, our lesson ended at 15. The lesson ended at 15, maybe at 15:50. But then it started at what? At 13:55. So when you want to calculate how long it took, I said you always say the bigger time. In this case, it is 15:50. and then you subtract the smaller time, which is 13:55. And then this side, it is the minutes. This side here, it is the minutes. This side here, it is the hours. So we are going to subtract. You say 50 minus 55. It's impossible. We can't do that. So 50 minutes cannot subtract 55 minutes. So what we have to do, we need to come this side and borrow. So from 15 hours, we borrow 1 hour. What are we left with now? We are left with 14 hours. But when you bring an hour this side we don't operate with hours. We only operate with minutes. So you convert that 1 hour to minutes. It becomes what? It becomes 60 minutes. So you say this 15 plus 16 minutes. It means now we've got how many minutes? 110 minutes. Then you can say 110 minus 55 minutes. 110 minus 55, what are you left with? We are left with 15.5, if I'm correct, guys. And then you have now 14 minus 13, which is 1. It means how long was the lesson? It was 1 hour, 55 minutes. Guys, unfortunately, our time is up. We are way behind with time with about 7 minutes. If you did not understand this, remember next week we still have another lesson of mathematical literacy on Wednesday. One of the presenters will also touch on the section of time, just to make sure that we all understand, and before we sit for the exams, we are all ready for this section. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon, guys. And then I wish you nothing but the best, especially now that you guys are about to start with your June exams. Remember to continue with the safety protocols as far as COVID-19 is concerned. Continue putting on your mask, sanitize your hands, wash your hands, and keep your social distancing. Until we meet again, guys, a great afternoon. Thank you.